political correspondent for Nine Papers, Paul Sakal. Big weekend for everyone. Teddy, how are you feeling? Are the polls this morning? Good news. You've still got a pulse. Just.
We still have a pulse. We sure do. Look, we've still got a long way to go, Carl. There's no doubt about that. But I have to say, I think this poll indicates that Australians are open-minded to hear from Angus Taylor. And he's already out there clarifying the two priorities of protecting Australians' way of life and restoring their living standards. So I think it's a good start. But of course, polls go up and down, so I don't get too excited by them either way.
There's been some concern that your policy on immigration will be racist.
No chance. At the end of the day, we've been very clear, and Angus made this clear over the weekend. We want to see lower numbers and higher standards. They're the two tests put in place.
Where will you cut back then?
Well, it's not for me to preempt the policy itself. Let's wait to see when it comes out. But there's no doubt that what we need to ensure is we have lower numbers because we need time for housing, for infrastructure, to services to catch up with the high population growth. But we also need to ensure that we have our way of life protected. And that's because we have seen a very divided country under Anthony Albanese. We need to see unity, not division. And that means we need to place right up front the importance of Australian values. At the end of the day, it's the one thing that will always unite us is a common set of values. And Angus Taylor has been very clear over the weekend. That's where the Liberal Party wants to go.
He's been clear to some extent, but not with any details. The devil's going to be in the Angus details, don't you think, Paul?
Yeah, it will. And I thought it was notable that when he spoke on Friday, Angus Taylor was not just using language around the number of Australians coming in, which is generally the way mainstream politicians talk about the immigration debate, but he really lent into the conversation about whether migrants share Australian values and whether the mix of Australian migrants has been right to date. So that's a new type of rhetoric, and I think we'll tap into a broad concern of the community about that topic, but they will need to watch their language as well because Labor easily weaponises these issues. Yeah,
and Ted, the accusation is going to be that you're One Nation light.
No, I think we're Liberal heavy. That's what we'll be. We're not going to be Labor light, One Nation light, but we are going to be very Liberal heavy, Carl, I tell you.
Are you concerned with One Nation? I mean, they're right up you.
No, I mean, look, you read the polls and there's no doubt One Nation have been doing well, and you don't brush that away. Of course, you have to take these things seriously, but One Nation is not a party of government. The Liberal Party, the coalition is. And I think once you do start seeing policy come out, you'll see a far bigger difference between the coalition and the minor parties because we have the depth of policy because we are a party of government. It's one thing to talk about the problems. It's another thing to not just address the problems, but to come forward with the solutions. That's our strength, always has been, always will be.
They a chance in Susan Lee's seat, Paul, do you reckon? One Nation?
They are. That's going to be an absolute shit fight, to put it bluntly. There's going to be about 4 parties with a chance of winning. Labor might not even run because they know it's just going to be a shootout, and it will test the coalition's position at the moment because, A, the Liberal and Nationals might both run against one another. The Nationals have always wanted to win that seat back. One Nation will surge on their right flank, and there'll be a Teal candidate that also polled well last time. So it's almost the perfect encapsulation of the coalition's problems, that seat.
There you go, Ted. It's a Conservative shootout, as Paul so eloquently says.
Yes, he used other sort of political vernacular there.
Excuse
too.
Me.
Look, it's going to be a challenge. There's no doubt, especially the retirement of Susan Lee, who's a very popular, high-performing local member. Yeah. That's always tough in any circumstances, but it's also again an opportunity because campaigns sort of force very sort of serious attention on what the parties are talking about. It does provide an opportunity for Angus and the team to be talking about protecting people's way of life, restoring living standards. And so, yep, a challenge, but an opportunity.
OK, finally, travel expense claims are back in the spotlight thanks to Don Farrell this morning, seeing as the Liberal Party's starting fresh. You got anything to declare, Teddy?
No, what I can declare is as an MP, it's one thing to follow the rule book, but you've also got to think of the pub test. That's probably all I'll say about that one, Carl.
Paul, one of the greatest rorts in Parliament.
Well, so disappointing